So I upgraded from the Nikon Z50 to the Nikon Z50 II, and it wasn't really to provide a backup camera for my Nikon Z8, but have I stumbled on a wildlife photography gem? Well, watch this video to find out. So first things first, I did use the Nikon Z50 as an emergency backup for my Nikon Z8, should I ever need it, and that was mainly for when I was shooting out with a client doing sort of a one-to-one course. It's always useful to have a second camera, if the Nikon Z8 should foul up, which thankfully it never did, but more often it would be a client's camera maybe that ran out of battery and they hadn't got a spare or whatever, or they had an issue with it, so we could carry on with the course. So I wasn't going to upgrade to the Z50 II. However, the Z50's main job was been recording some of my YouTube videos, like it is today actually. And I've discovered that it's a real pain trying to line yourself up in the shot when you don't have a flip screen, so you're constantly going back behind the camera, which was an absolute nightmare. So I decided eventually to upgrade to the Nikon Z50 II with its flip screen, and that was the reason. But of course, once it arrived, its secondary function was as a wildlife photography backup, and so I thought, yeah, I'll give it an extensive test. So over the last 6 weeks, that's what I've been doing, and this is my honest opinion of this little camera. So I think ergonomics wise, let's look at that first. It's very similar to the Nikon Z50, but in the hand it actually feels bulkier and more substantial and solid. Now, one change that they did make was they made the actual grip wider and bigger. Now that could be a big reason why it feels the way it does. I particularly have quite large hands as well, so when I'm holding the camera it does nestle nicely in there, and it just makes the whole camera feel more solid. As regards technical specifications, now I suppose I've not gone into exhaustive detail there. I've really just looked at the things that are important to me as a wildlife photographer. If you want full specifications, you can easily find those by just googling the camera and specifications, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. But as a wildlife photographer, this camera has a 20.9 megapixel crop sensor, which gives you a 1.5 times crop. Now, one thing to note is the sensor doesn't have any image stabilization, so if you want any image stabilization, you're going to be looking to the actual lens that you use with the camera to provide it. Now, one other point I did want to mention in this video, because I know I do get a lot of wildlife photographers or photographers who are wanting to do wildlife photography, and as we know, wildlife photography is really expensive. Now, this is sort of a mid-range camera, I'd say. There are more expensive options, but if you're a beginner, this might be a camera that you start with. The problem then is the lens that you're going to use. And I'd just like to bring this lens in. This is a old f-mount lens. It's a Nikon 300mm f4, and it's got the Nikon I think FTZ2 adapter on there. Now, with this adapter, this f-mount lens will fit onto this Z-mount camera, giving you a equivalent of a 450mm lens on the Z50 II. I've not had this very long. I bought this lens for about 350 quid just to try it out, really, because in some situations that extra stops of light that you get with the f4 is useful, and you don't necessarily need the 600mm range. And I've been absolutely amazed with how well this works. It's so well actually that I'm hoping to get hold of the 8400 as well. So if you're a beginner photographer, don't forget there are also options like this. I think the adapter, I bought that used from MPB. I think that was about 130 quid. So and obviously then that adapter, you can use it with multiple lenses that you can get for your camera, landscape lenses as well. So just something to bear in mind if you're a beginner photographer and trying to get a kit. I will, I think, do some videos in the future where I use some of these f-mount lenses on the Z50 and actually on the Z8 and see what results we get, but so far I've been really impressed. I just wanted to mention it there just so that if you're a beginner photographer and looking to get some kit together, just to know there are other options rather than buying the Z-mount lenses. The camera uses the X-Speed 7 processor, which is also used in my Nikon Z8, which might be one of the reasons why it does perform really well, and we'll get into that in a minute. I think the Nikon Z50 used the X-Speed 6, so it's obviously an upgrade there. The camera will shoot at maximum 11 frames per second with the mechanical shutter, and it'll shoot a maximum shutter speed of 1/4000th of a second. The ISO is a respectable 100 to 51,200, and very importantly the camera has a focusing system that has 209 focusing points, and it also has a really good subject detection that will detect animals, birds, people, vehicles and airplanes. Obviously for wildlife photographers we're interested in that animal and bird eye autofocus, which it does have. As regards the battery, I think it's similar to or the same as the Z50, so you get about 250 shots out of it, and we'll come to that a little bit later. It doesn't come with a battery charger either, so again we'll come to what you can do about that later. Weight wise, the camera, although it feels solid, it's still very light at 550 grams, so if you're a photographer who's going to struggle to carry a really big kit around with you for a whole session, you know, a whole day out in the field, then this might be a good option to go with. From using it for 6 weeks solidly, I've yet to come across a situation where I've felt the Z8 would have gotten me the shot and the Z52 wouldn't. And again, don't get me wrong, there are bound to be situations down the line where the extra power of the Z8 is going to be really telling, but I can confidently say that as a wildlife photographer, 90 to 95% of situations this camera is going to perform superbly. And one of the reasons for that is the autofocus. And I don't know whether this is related to it having the X-Speed 7 processor, but the autofocus is absolutely amazing. It really does latch on, and it's reluctant to let go once it has latched on actually. And this is a really big step up from the Nikon Z50. It doesn't seem to struggle in low light, and if your subject is briefly blocked by a tree or post, which they often are, it rapidly locks back onto the subject. Now you're going to ask me, is this a mini Z8? Well, I wouldn't class this camera as a mini Z8, but it is good. It is very good. And some of you will know, if you've been watching the channel a while, that I used to shoot Sony, and when I shot Sony there was a little camera there that really blew my socks off, so much that I ended up using two. I had a pair of them to shoot all my stuff with, and that was the Sony a6400. Now the Nikon Z52 gives me that same feeling. It really feels like the camera within Nikon's range that punches just well above its weight. So if you're going to consider getting one of these, what are the things you need to think about? Well, firstly, as I mentioned earlier, battery life's around 250 shots, so you will need extra batteries for a day's shooting, as mentioned. Now this camera doesn't come with a battery charger, so I killed two birds with one stone by purchasing this K&F Concept charger that comes with two additional batteries. Now don't worry, I'm not sponsored by K&F Concept, but I have worked with this company a lot with another couple of bits of gear, so I know they provide competitively priced and generally reliable gear. So I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to get hold of one of those chargers with the two extra batteries. Now the sensor on this camera is a 20.9 megapixel crop sensor. So with that, don't expect to be able to do massive crops on an image. You can't crop as aggressively as you can with the 45 megapixel Z8. It would have been nice actually to have a sensor of around 25 megapixels on this camera to allow for a little bit more cropping, but then again you can't have everything. Now there is a crop sensor issue, and I'm going to bring it up here even though it is not just the Nikon Z50 that is going to have this problem. All crop sensor cameras are going to have this issue, and if you've never shot with a full frame camera, it's probably something you wouldn't be aware of. So I'll just explain that to you now. And this is probably because I've come from shooting the Z8 to the Z52 back to the Z8. So let me explain. So if I put my 600mm lens on the Z8, it gives me a 600mm view. Now on the Nikon Z52, that 600mm view becomes a 900mm view, which you think, great, it's cropping in on the subject, making it bigger in the viewfinder. But where this is more difficult is for fast moving birds or animals. So with the Z52, the bird can fill the frame, which is great, but when the bird is large in the frame and it's moving at speed and you're trying to track it, it's so easy to clip a wing and ruin a shot. Now you may answer that because I shoot with a Nikon 18600, I should just pull back the zoom a little bit to give the bird more space. And yes, you can do that, but don't forget the ability to crop is not too great with the 20.9 megapixel sensor. So you're not going to be able to crop that much to get that size back. Now with a full frame camera like the Z8 and its 45 megapixel sensor, when I'm tracking the bird, it will appear much smaller if I'm in the same position in the frame, which means I can track it and I've got room in front of the bird, and I can take shots full well in the knowledge that when I get back to processing the image, I can do an aggressive crop on that subject and still get a great image, but there's no chance of me clipping bits of the bird or animal off because I've got so much room front and back, up and down. So that's one thing really that only if you've never shot with a full frame camera, it's something you probably wouldn't be aware of. So summing up with this camera, I really love this camera. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with it for wildlife photography, and it'll handle landscapes and macro photography just as well. To sum up, I'd really like to tell you a little bit of a story about a trip, a wild camping trip we made to Loch Nagar last year. Now Loch Nagar in the Cairngorms called for us hauling a lot of equipment up to the 3,000 metres where we were going to wild camp. And although we were predominantly going to be shooting landscapes, I knew there was a chance of red deer, golden eagle and ptarmigan. So I ended up hauling up the 18600 lens and the Nikon Z8, which is like a brick, because if I ended up with perhaps golden eagle, I wanted to have the very best chance of capturing it rather than substituting the Z8 for the Z50, which I've already said is a great camera, but in extreme situations you want the best kit. If I was going to do that trip in 2026, I'd be more than happy to take the Z52 instead of the Z8. I'm so confident really that this Z52 would capture the shot. So anyway, I hope this honest review of actually using the Z52 over a long period of time really informs your decisions. If it did and you like my no-nonsense style of reviews, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me keep making these videos. And yeah, I'll see you for the next one.